Well, hello everybody. I just want to welcome all of you. My name is Aaron Nakamura, and I'm the Director for Marketing and University Relations. And we're seeing, as many of you are being led into the room, I just want to go over some general announcements. First of all, welcome to the engineering interest session. And I want to run through some general announcements. If you are interested in other areas, I want you to know that there is another hour at the 6 o'clock hour. There are other interest sessions that you can sign up for, and you can do so by logging on to wallawalla.edu/virtual U-Days, and you can learn about other programs, other departments, and you can sign up for another interest session at the 6 o'clock hour. Also, on that webpage, you can join our Virtual U-Days Facebook group. And you want to do that because we're giving away free stuff. We're giving away Amazon gift cards. We're giving away an Eno hammock, Apple AirPods, Walla Walla University gear, hoodies. So join that group. And once again, that link is on wallawalla.edu/virtual U-Days. If you have a question at any point throughout this session, there should be a Q&A button towards the bottom of this window. And if you click on that, you can ask a question, and one of the team members here from the engineering team will address your question. So once again, I want to welcome all of you. And before I hand things over to the engineering team, I want to start off with a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this time where we can come together and learn about engineering at Walla Walla University. And for those that are interested in attending Walla Walla University, but they have specific interests in this program, we ask that you continue to guide our thoughts, guide our decision-making, and we thank you so much for keeping us safe so far. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. All right, Talia, Dr. Roth, the time is yours.
Perfect, thank you, Aaron. So I'm gonna share my screen now and get our presentation up. Okay, Dr. Roth, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Sure, good afternoon and welcome. I wish that we could see the person, but we're delighted that you've joined us virtually today. I'm joined here by a few other members of our department. We have Talia Nelson, who's a STEM recruiter, also helps around our department, has taught a number of classes this year for us. We're joined by a few engineering seniors who will be sharing a bit later in our presentation and also be fielding some of our questions. So we're delighted to have them here as well. For the first part of our presentation, I'll turn the time over to Talia.
So like Dr. Roth said, I am a professor or a faculty member of some of the classes for our engineering department, and I also recruit for our all of our STEM departments on campus. I'm a graduate of Walla Walla University Engineering, Mechanical Engineering, so I have a good taste of what it's like to be part of this department myself. So the first question that we'll go over here is, what is an engineer? So we have a long definition from the National Society of Professional Engineers that goes over exactly what it is, and I've condensed it down to say an engineer is a person whose career is designing, improving, and or maintaining technology. And I say here that they use math and science to validate their work, and that technology is a broad term. And the reason I say that is because there's many different facets of technology that engineers cover. So in our department, in our school, we call these concentrations. So at Walla Walla University, you can get a Bachelor of Science in engineering, and then you get a concentration in one or more of these 5 fields. So we have civil engineering, computer engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical, and bioengineering or bioengineering science. These are each their own specialty, and I'll kind of go over some questions that an engineer in each of these fields would ask. So the first is mechanical engineering. I say here that mechanical engineers focus on things that move. Some of the questions that you might see of a mechanical engineer in the aerospace field is, how do airplanes fly? Another question is, how does steam push a turbine that is used to produce power? Another question is, how can we make a robot for an assembly line? As you can see here, these are all really diverse questions. And so I say that mechanical engineering is probably regarded as one of the most broad fields. As a mechanical engineer, you can go on to graduate school in a number of different topics, from aerospace to power to automation, all those different topics. So it's a pretty broad field. And then we have civil engineering, where I put a picture of a beautiful bridge. So civil engineers focus on things that don't move or help us with our basic needs. So one question they might ask is, what kind of bridge should we build so that it can span 1.701 miles? What is the wind load on the Space Needle on a windy day? How can we reduce traffic in a congested area? And how can we bring clean water to a town? Again, these are pretty diverse areas, and civil engineering is also, a pretty diverse field. There's lots of different aspects within the field of civil engineering as well. Then we have electrical engineering. So electrical engineers focus on how to make electrical energy do work for us. So some of the questions one might ask is, how does a machine detect when a button is pushed? How does your house get power from the power station? How can we harness power from the sun? And what kind of circuit is needed to power parts of a smartphone? So again, this is a pretty broad field, and it's closely related to computer engineering. I also want to remind you guys too that you can be asking questions in the chat box as I talk, and we have an ambassador that will read them out to me. So if you would like to ask any questions as Dr. Roth and I talk right now, feel free to do so. So computer engineers combine computer science and electrical engineering to design and maintain computer hardware and software. Some of the questions they might ask are, how can we store memory on electronic devices? How can we get a computer to recognize a digital image? And how can we improve computer security? And then our last concentration is bioengineering. So bioengineers combine biology and engineering to enhance the performance of naturally occurring things. So some questions you might see are, how can we make a prosthetic arm that's controlled by the brain? How does lung tissue behave when too much air is pumped into it? How can we make better medical imaging machines? And how can we mimic the way cells grow in the body? So while you can do bioengineering as a specific concentration, you can also do bioengineering science. They're both studying the field of bioengineering, but one leads more toward going on to medical school or something like that. But a lot of bioengineers will go on to med school anyway. And like I say here, it's a very interdisciplinary field. It covers topics from lots of different other concentrations as well. So you might be wondering why the program is structured to be a Bachelor of Science in Engineering with a concentration in a certain area. And the reason that we do this is because it allows you to get a broad-based engineering education. So I'll show you an example of one of our bulletins. So the bulletin is just simply a list of all the classes that you'll take over your 4 years as an engineering student. And so I list here, I show a little diagram that says general engineering courses to more concentration specific courses. So no matter what area or concentration of engineering that you do, your first 2 years in here will look pretty similar. Bioengineering is probably the most different because you're taking biology within these first 2 years here. But other than that, they're pretty similar. You've got intro to engineering, calculus, chemistry, college writing, and then your second year you have engineering mechanics, physics, more calculus. And then as you progress on, you'll take more concentration specific classes. So these classes with really specific names to a certain field are what we would call concentration specific classes. So advanced CAD is really a class that only a mechanical engineer would take. And then the same thing goes on for your senior year. You take more concentration specific classes in this year. And then your final year, your senior year, you're doing your capstone engineering project, no matter what concentration you are. So in your capstone engineering project, you either work alone or in a team to solve a problem that has to do with engineering. And you make presentations each quarter to track your progress and let your professors know what you've been up to, what you've been doing. And that's something that really shapes your capabilities as an engineer to be able to make presentations, collect data, and it gets you really career ready. So like I said earlier, the reason that we have a concentration based program is because we want students to be able to get a broad education. And the reason that this is important is because if you want to go on to like graduate school, or even your career, a lot of times the people that are hiring you for your positions, or looking into your graduate school, like what research you would be doing, they like to see that you've had a lot of different classes in different fields. So as a mechanical engineer, you can get the opportunity to take some classes in your first year. For example, I took a lot more programming than really any other mechanical engineering student at a different school would take, because I had a little bit of flexibility to do a more broad-based education in these first 2 years. And that's something that a lot of employers are really interested in, was me having a lot of programming experience as a mechanical engineer. So, and it also gives you some flexibility to decide within those first 2 years what field you actually want to go into. So if you start out with mechanical engineering and you're not really sure, you have a little bit of time to think, maybe I want to go into electrical engineering or computer engineering or something like that, because a lot of these classes are pretty similar within the first 2 years. So like I said, it gives you exposure to different fields, and it gives you the opportunity to gain unique skills. And this is something that I've actually seen like great results in. So that's why it's great to have a more broad-based education. So now Dr. Roth is going to take the lead here and tell us what it's like to be an engineer at Walla Walla University. I think you're on mute, Dr. Roth.
Thank you. Am I here now?
Yeah.
Perfect. So this is, what's it like here at Walla Walla University and School of Engineering? That's a question we should ask all of our panelists today. We should ask our students. Let me just share from my perspective a few observations. First, I think we're known for our close collaboration with peers and with faculty. We have a very collaborative environment, not a competitive one, but a collaborative one, where students often work together, particularly on class projects. And they really enjoy that sense of camaraderie, that support. Engineering is a challenging, major challenging discipline, so it's great to have that peer support. The same is true of faculty as well. As faculty, our focus is on you and on your education. We teach at Walla Walla University because we love teaching first and foremost. And so we are delighted to work with you. Students often drop by our offices to visit. We're available frequently to answer your questions and to help you be successful. The second thing that I think distinguishes our program is experiential learning in labs and through internships. We have a number of well-equipped labs in our department. I wish you could be here for us to give you a tour, show you what, we have a few pictures in a little bit that we'll show you, and we also have some nice videos on our website, some interactive videos where you can look at, take a peek inside different labs. Many of our students earn or receive internships. Though it's not a requirement of our program, it's something that we encourage and support. Through our alumni, we're able to provide many of those opportunities. Another thing that Talia has highlighted is our broad-based education. So your engineering degree will earn you your first job, but your general studies, your communication courses, your business courses, your history, philosophy courses, psychology courses, those will earn you your second and third job. Employers care not just about your technical abilities, but your ability to interact with the world, to interact with customers, to understand the context in which your product, your design will engage the world. Another feature that I think is really exciting about Walla Walla University and our School of Engineering is opportunities for student leadership, particularly within a culture of service. I've been thinking through the list of students who joined us today, and I think everyone, or virtually everyone, plays a leadership role in one of our student clubs. So in a moment or two, we'll highlight those in more detail. We have one who's led a team of students and professionals in an international engineering project. So Walla Walla University and our School of Engineering provides great opportunities to develop your leadership skills. And finally, another thing that makes Walla Walla University unique, particularly relative to other secular institutions, large public institutions, is that we're interested in your spiritual development within a community of faith. There are so many opportunities for engagement, worship opportunities, large and small, church investors, small group worships, and a variety of other ways to get to know God better with your friends. All right, I think we've covered some of the things that make Walla Walla University unique. Let's see. So let's take a peek at our labs. Here are a few pictures to give you a sense of some of our labs. We have a picture of our robotics lab up in the upper left-hand corner. In fact, we teach a class in robotics where we learn how to program and operate those robots. There's a picture in the middle of our fluids lab. On the right, a picture of our surveying lab. So if you're a civil engineer, if you're interested in civil engineering, you'll have a chance to work outdoors on beautiful spring days with our surveying equipment. Moving down around lower right-hand corner is a picture of our structures lab. Our structures lab is pretty fun, pretty amazing. It's this deep pit of concrete where we can test large structural members, concrete columns and beams. And here's a picture of a crane. Continuing on around the circle, we have some pictures from our electrical and computer engineering labs, students working with a variety of different instruments. All right. I mentioned a moment ago student clubs, and so I'll just briefly mention 5 of our student clubs. We have what's called Engineers Without Borders. It's a local student chapter of a broader national organization, and we have projects both locally and all over the world. We partnering with our local exchange club. It's a professional service club in town to work on a local project. We work with the Adventist Academy in Northeast India on a variety of water and structure and sanitation and other needs. And we are just in the process of adopting a new project in Africa and focused in particular on clean water. So Engineers Without Borders provides you with an opportunity, if you choose to get involved and apply your engineering skills, even as a student, to make a difference in the world. We have 4 other clubs. Each of these clubs are aligned with one of our concentrations. We have American Society of Civil Engineers, American Society of Mechanical Engineers, Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers for our electrical and computer engineering students, and the Society of Biological Engineers. Each of these are aligned with a national organization, which gives you a chance to network with professionals and to connect with students within your concentration of interest. Also provides great leadership opportunities for those students who are leading those efforts. To pair with our Engineers Without Borders program, the experiential element, going out and working and serving and using your engineering talents, we also have a program called our Global Humanitarian Engineering Emphasis. And this is a chance for you to focus your coursework on preparing you to work effectively with other cultures. So certainly happy to provide you with more details. The gist of it is a chance for you to focus your general studies courses and take a couple specialized engineering courses that particularly prepare you for international work, whether it be in developing countries, service work, or even in multinational organizations, large companies that might have you flying around the world to work with clients in other countries. In both cases, this program would help you prepare for those sorts of opportunities. All right, so I mentioned a moment ago that many of our students are involved in internships, and I'd like to turn the time back over to Talia to tell you a little bit about her internship and some of the many other students who've been involved in internships.
Yeah, so I love to talk about internships specifically as a student at Walla Walla University. So how it works at Walla Walla U is we don't require you to actually have an internship to complete your degree, but it's something that's very encouraged by each professor. And the way that professors actually encourage it is by helping you write like your letters of recommendation and reaching out to different people that they know, like in industry and stuff like that, to get you connected. And like Dr. Roth said, one of the like shining elements of our program is that you actually do really get to know your professors because they have their open door office policy. So you can walk in, you can ask them questions, and that really lends to getting to know your professors well so they can actually help you write really great letters of recommendation and help you get internships. I see that there's a hand raised. So Grant, do you want to read that question from a student?
Yeah, so a student just asked, did Walla Walla University ever offer chemical engineering?
No, we have never offered chemical engineering. Dr. Oath, would you like to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So a specialty like chemical engineering is really a combination of mechanical engineering and chemistry. So I'm thinking of a recent graduate of ours who majored in chemistry, but took a number of our mechanical engineering courses and went on to graduate work in chemical engineering. We actually have a couple of faculty members on staff, one in chemistry and one in School of Engineering, who both come from chemical engineering backgrounds. And so again, while we don't offer a concentration in chemical engineering, there are certainly opportunities if you're interested to work to study related courses and to work on projects in that area.
Yeah, and I'll add to that as well. So that's a really common question that I get from incoming students, is what if I can't do aerospace specifically at Walla Walla University, or what if I can't do chemistry or chemical engineering specifically at Walla Walla University? And that's, again, kind of the beauty of our broad-based program, is that you can do classes that are specific to that field and either get a job in that field if you have, coursework that you can show, or you can go on to grad school to become more specialized within that field. We have plenty of students that, go on from a mechanical engineering degree to an aerospace program for graduate school or something like that. So just because we don't have a specific concentration doesn't mean that you aren't open to that field for jobs and stuff. Yeah, I see another hand raised. Grant, would you like to read the question?
Yeah, so Riley Rogers asked, what program does WWU have for engaging industry with students, like an internship or something else?
Yeah, so there's no specific internship placement program, but like Dr. Ruth was talking about, clubs are a really good way to get involved with people in industry, because a lot of times sponsors for the EWB projects will recognize Walla Walla University students and get to know what they're working on and that sort of a thing. And then similarly, like what I was talking about earlier, a lot of professors are actually really well connected within different industries because of where they worked before they came to work at Walla Walla University. So there's a lot of good connections there, and they're actually really meaningful as well, because a lot of the people that our professors know are well aware of how awesome Walla Walla University students are. They know that they're good kids that work hard, and since it's a smaller school, that they can kind of trust what the people that they know of this school, or they're graduates of Walla Walla University themselves. So they can kind of have a good idea of what Walla Walla University students have to offer. Does that kind of answer the question? Does anyone want to add to that at all?
Yeah, I'll add a little bit to that. So as far as engaging current Walla Walla U students in the engineering program with the industry, I think that Walla Walla University takes the approach of allowing you to choose how you want to engage with industry. I know a lot of other universities and colleges will require you to get an internship, and I think that our university is different because it allows you to choose how you want to engage. So they don't necessarily require it, so you might end up with some really lame internship, but instead you get to choose how you want to engage. So my experience, I talked with Dr. Roth extensively, and he gave me some pro tips on how to get an internship, and was able to hook me up with an internship at Cascade Designs in Seattle, Washington. And that was an incredible experience for me. And that's sort of how I got engaged with the industry. But like I said, it's not required. So it's sort of a choose your own adventure.
Yeah, that's a really good way to describe it. I'll just add that before I graduated, I had an internship at Key Technology here in Walla Walla. And they actually provide, quite a number of internships for specifically mechanical engineers in the area. But, it really helped round out my education. Also helped me make money while I was in college too. And there are opportunities even in the area too. And I see another hand has been raised. Grant, do you want to read the question?
Yeah, Owner Ambassadors gave a great answer to this. But if anybody else was curious, what would you say about switching engineering majors?
Yeah, so are you talking I think you're referring to at what point do you want to switch, and which ones are best to switch between, and that sort of a thing? Am I interpreting that correctly?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. It was an anonymous attendee, so if that attendee would like to specify that, they could ask another question.
So I'll talk about, let me go back here to the bulletin real quick. So I can speak to this from my own experience. I started out as bioengineering. And then I thought, you know what, I'm kind of tired of biology. I want to do electrical engineering. So I kind of almost immediately switched to electrical engineering within that first year. And that's why I ended up actually taking quite a few programming classes. And then at some point, I started doing a lot of research about what I wanted to do specifically with my career and what my career options would be with electrical engineering. And I found out that mechanical engineering actually interested me a lot more. And this seems a little bit, I would say, like a little disorganized on my end. And the reason for that is because I was pretty uninformed about what engineering entailed before I started my degree at Walla Walla University. And I say that to reassure people that aren't really sure like what engineering is all about, because this is where you will learn it. And so being able to switch, I switched to mechanical engineering actually my first quarter of my junior year. It was that late in the game. Although I don't recommend necessarily doing that exact thing. I had a little bit of a buffer. I had come in with some college credits, but I'd still say that at some point you'd want to decide within the first 2 years, just because like I said earlier, those are the classes that are, they have a lot more overlap between each concentration. And in my opinion, I think it's probably easiest to switch between mechanical and civil and then computer and electrical. I'm not 100% sure where bioengineering lies in there, but I'd say those are probably the easiest ones to switch between. And yeah, you do have some time. And the first courses of Intro to Engineering, so Intro to Engineering 1, 2, and 3, will outline what engineers do in their specific field. So the goal of Intro to Engineering is to help you figure out where do I want to be placed. That's kind of the idea there. We had a couple of hand raises while I was talking. Grant, do you want to read those questions?
Yeah, I'll do them one at a time. So first, do you have to attend WWU to be a part of their Engineers Without Borders program? A great question.
Dr. Roth, would you like to answer that?
You know, we occasionally have students from local high school, or we've had a student or two from Whitman College join us. But yeah, it's one of the benefits of being a Walla Walla University student. There are other Engineers Without Borders chapters around the country. Perhaps you'll find one near where you are, but there's nothing like working closely with your peers on a project as part of our EWB chapter.
Grant, you want to read the next question?
Yeah. How well does the engineering program prepare you for graduate school?
Yeah, let me take that one if I may.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'd say that that's one of the highlights of our program. We have perhaps equal numbers of students interested in going directly to industry and those who are interested in continuing on to graduate study. I recently looked at statistics and looked at how Walla Walla University compares to national average, and we more than twice as many of our graduates earn an advanced degree within the first 10 or 12 years after graduation from Walla Walla University. So something like 40%, nearly 40% of our graduates earn a master's degree or higher within the first 10 years after graduation, whereas the national average is closer to 20. So why is it that students from Walla Walla attend graduate school at a higher level? I mean, I think part of it is the opportunity to work closely with faculty members here to develop strong relationships. Those translate into strong reference letters, which are a really important part of grad school applications. I'll say that in the 10 years, 12 years I've been here, I've written over 100 grad school letters. In fact, a lot more when you consider all the graduate schools I've written letters for. In each case, a student has been accepted to graduate school.
All right, next one. Does the computer engineering program focus more on software or hardware? Is there a way for someone to focus more on one over the other?
Greg, do you think you could talk about that?
I can. I am not a part of the computer engineering program, but I'm an electrical engineer, and I have many friends that are computer engineering, and I've talked with them. We've planned our class schedules out together for that. And the computer engineering program tends to try to walk the line as best it can between both software and hardware. It's not a perfect balance, but the thing is you have a lot of elective credits that you can choose to focus on more one or the other. Those electives are where you really, if you want to specialize more into software or more into hardware, is where you really get to flex those muscles. For me, myself personally, as an electrical engineering student, I've been using a lot of my electives to even focus on software, because there's some aspects of software that really interest me for what I want to do with electrical engineering. So there is a big marriage between those two, especially in the computer engineering program. And there's a lot of options, anywhere from the more hardware focused stuff like digital design classes, or the more software focused stuff like machine learning and AI.
Nice, thanks, Greg. Looks like we have 2 more questions. Is that right, Grant? Right now?
Yeah, at least one more. So do EWB members, Engineers Without Borders, get to visit different countries? And I think there's several people here that could talk on that.
Yeah. Who here has been to another country with EWB? Nico, I think you've been.
I have. I think Jordan has as well, if you want to talk on that.
Right.
I'll just mention briefly, this picture here is our EWB project in Peru, and that's from 2017, I believe. I was involved with the trip after this, and we went to the community in Peru there, where we were able to implement some solar panels for the community members and provide them with access to electricity so that the kids there could study in the evenings. So that was a great opportunity.
Is this a solar panel that you guys installed, Nico?
So our system was slightly different because this community in this picture, these panels were permanent, and we went in and provided a different community with some portable solar panels, because they were living in 2 separate areas depending on the season for farming and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I went to India in September this last year. Honestly, one of the best experiences I had traveling. And that's saying something. I have family overseas in Asia and stuff, but this is like a totally new experience. Engineers Without Borders is one of the major reasons I decided to come to Walla Walla, so you should definitely come to Walla Walla. You do get to travel if you want to, and depending, your expenses can be paid too, partially, so that's also a great perk of being part of EWB.
Yeah. And I'll say one other thing too. As you noticed, so Nico that talked a little bit ago, he is a bioengineer, and he was talking pretty fluently about some electrical engineering kind of principles. And I'd say that's one of the kind of beauties about clubs like EWB, is that you get experience into like multidisciplinary things. So you're crossing over disciplines and learning about lots of different things. So when you go to apply for jobs later, you'll have some pretty interesting amounts of knowledge in different fields that employers will be interested in. So yeah. So I'm going to keep moving here. We're pretty close to the end of our slides.
Could I jump in with a couple more points before we move on?
Yeah, for sure.
The first is that you were too modest to comment on what you're doing next year. I should have put you on the spot with our grad school question. What are you doing next year?
So sadly, I'm not going to be at Walla Walla University. I just accepted a full ride to University of California, Riverside, studying mechanical engineering for my PhD. So I'm going straight into a PhD program, and I'm going to be working in a lab that studies the material properties of the lung. So I'm pretty excited for that. And like I said earlier, one of the things that really stood out to my advisor that really wanted me in her lab was that I had experience in programming and also in a class called finite element analysis. So what really stood out to me is that a lot of students actually take a class like finite element method as like a mechanical engineer. They'll take that as a graduate level course, and I took it as an undergraduate. I think I'll show you here in the bulletin. It's actually one of your junior level classes. Do you see it on there, Dr. Roth? Oh, right here, finite element methods. You have to take this as a mechanical engineer. And I was shocked that she was shocked that I had to take that class, because to me, it was part of the bulletin. I just had to take it. And she pointed out to me, and then another friend pointed out to me too, that it's actually a graduate level course and it's pretty in depth. So it's things like that gave me a really great edge for graduate school. And then of course the letters of recommendation that I got. I know that I knew my professors very personally. And so they wrote me letters of recommendations that spoke to not only like my skills in engineering, but also my character. And that was really important when I was getting into graduate school, because my advisor, when she offered me the position, she said, I want you in my lab because I know that you will work well with my team. I like your personality, and your professors have vouched for that. So yeah. Anyway, long story short, I'm very excited for next year. And I think Walla Walla University prepared me extremely well for a graduate degree. So yeah.
Hell yeah. A couple more people we need to put on the spot. We need to ask Greg what he's doing next year.
Yeah, Greg, tell us about it.
Hello. I am also doing graduate school things. I got accepted and will be attending Stanford University. Yes, where the cursor is spinning around. I'm going to be studying to get my master's in electrical engineering, and I plan to focus more on embedded systems and signal processing, and maybe some other things that I was able to kind of figure out that like I really wanted to specialize more into, thanks to getting to have a broad BSE in engineering. Like I think that really allowed me to be able to focus on a lot of different things, both hardware and software, and the marriage of the two.
Yeah. Congrats, Greg. That's pretty neat. I just learned that this afternoon, so congratulations. I'm a little partial to Stanford, having attended there myself. We have one more person that we need to put on the spot, and that's Nico. Where are you going next year?
I am actually, well, I'm taking a year off next year, but I've deferred my acceptance to Loma Linda University for medical school. So I'll be attending there in 2021. Hopefully using my bioengineering background to apply that in medicine in some way. I'm not sure what exactly yet, but I'm very excited about using my degree here from Walla Walla to further the medical field. So yeah.
Congrats. Very neat.
Yeah. We have a number of students that will go on to medical school. So that's a really interesting thing to keep in mind. Grant, was there a couple more questions floating around?
So this is a hard one. Which engineering major would you say is the most stable employment-wise? For instance, are you more likely to find a job being a mechanical engineer or an electrical engineer?
That is a great question. Dr. Roth, do you have an answer for that?
Yeah, you should follow your passion. If you are excited about something, you'll be good at it. And if you're good at it, there'll be a job for you. And I honestly believe that. But then let me talk a little bit about employment statistics. I'd say that the fastest growing areas of engineering are bioengineering and computer engineering. Those are the areas where we anticipate many more jobs in the future. But I would say that every area of engineering at this point is projected to grow a bit over the next 10 years, whether it's civil or mechanical or electrical. Every area is anticipated to grow. It's just bio and computer engineering that are expected to grow the fastest.
I want to add something real quick to that, more of like a practical side, and specifically answering this question. What was that?
Please, go ahead.
Okay. But this is an example I heard from a professor. But if you think back to like the original definition of engineering, we're all on the common goal of helping people. And so if you think about it, as long as there's population on Earth, there will always be a job for engineers. For example, people need electricity. And in order to have that electricity, you need some sort of generation, right? So you'll need mechanicals to, whether that's maintaining your dams, whether that's, looking at coal, electrical plants, lots of different types of ways that mechanical could be involved there. And of course, the electrical engineers too, because they're the ones distributing all that power. And so as long as there's people on Earth, I think there'll always be jobs for engineers.
Yeah, I agree with that. Was there another question, Grant?
That was it at this time.
Okay, perfect. So let's, I talked about internships. So I've sat on this slide for a while to kind of let it be processed by you guys and also lend to what we were talking about. But all these different companies are all companies that our engineers have been employed by. And same with the graduate schools. These are like actual graduate schools that our engineers have gone on to go to. There's obviously more than this, but these are some pretty cool companies that you could be, working for and have connections in. So we're always excited to show that off. And then a little case study here. So Gary Curtis, I don't know what year he graduated, but it was a while ago, but he helped design the Space Needle in Seattle. And I just thought this was the coolest picture of like a cutaway of what like the design was for the Space Needle. But he was a civil engineer at Walla Walla University that went on to do a big project like this. So I really mean it when I say you can go on and do remarkable things. Walla Walla University really does set you up well. So then my last little bit here is, how do I know if I want to be an engineer? Because like I said earlier, I went into engineering school not really knowing what it was all about. So I think these are some good questions to ask yourself. So do you like to discover how things work? So like, are you a curious kind of person? Do you like to design things or make them work better? Are you somebody that thinks about how things like could be better? Do you like to challenge yourself? People ask me a lot, is engineering hard? And the answer is yes, it's hard, but it's very doable. And I think it has a lot to do with what your mindset is. So if you're somebody that likes to challenge yourself and you like to work hard, then you'll get through it just like any other degree. Do you want the opportunity to have a varied career? So like Nico's a good example here. He's going on to medical school. So a lot of engineers go on to do really diverse careers even beyond engineering. Engineering is one of those majors that kind of covers almost everything, because you take classes in communications, you're doing a lot of stuff with your senior design project where you're analyzing the budget of something, you're doing some economics, you're doing a lot of public speaking, you're doing obviously a lot of math. It's just one of those majors that pretty much delves into lots of different topics. And so it makes you somebody that's a diverse person that can go on and get like many different types of jobs. And then obviously, do you want a well-paying job? So engineering is the kind of job that you're never going to be bankrupt. And then another question I get is that, do I have to have some sort of like prerequisite knowledge coming into this department? And the answer is no. So something that I like to talk about is that engineering school prepares you for what you need to know. So you don't need to come in to engineering school already being like an amazing programmer or like building a bunch of stuff or whatever. You'll learn about that in engineering. It's always great when you come in with pre-existing knowledge, but at the same time, you're going to learn what you need to know in engineering school. We had a couple of hands raised. So Grant, do you want to ask those questions?
Yeah, here's some fun ones, mostly targeted towards the ambassadors, I think.
Yeah.
So first, how hard is it to balance life for engineering majors? The stereotype is that engineering majors are always studying.
Yeah. Do you want to save some of these ambassador specific questions until the very end? Do you mind if I keep cruising through some of these slides that are—
Sure, that's fine, yeah.
Okay. So that's pretty much the end of Dr. Roth and my little presentation here. I'll say a couple of things here. So number one, make sure you follow us on social media. You'll see this little card right here. So this is our Instagram handle, as people call it, and then for Facebook as well. So make sure that you follow us, follow our community, because we post a lot about what students are doing, like internship-wise, graduate school-wise, and then even just what's currently going on in our department as well. So, different club opportunities, even like different like fun events and stuff, like fun dinners that we host and that sort of a thing. So I really encourage you to follow it, because it will also make you kind of feel like part of the community and get to know what to expect if you do come to Walla Walla University. And then the second thing I'll say here is make sure you email me with any of your questions. I'm going to ask enrollment for your guys' information after this so I can touch base with you all and make sure that you can get in contact with me. But I know my name is a little tricky to spell, but if you want to write it down, you definitely can, and ask me any question at all. I'll either answer it myself or put you in touch with somebody that knows how to answer it. And then the third little blurb here is that we are encouraging you to take a look at our labs as well as apply for our engineering scholarship. So we have 3 links here, which Grant is going to put in the Q&A box. And I will also email out to you guys So the first one is our virtual UDays lab tour. So this is a video of me and Dr. Roth and some other professors walking around the engineering labs and showing you what goes on in each lab. This is something that we love to show to students when they come to our department, and sadly you can't be here, but we still want you to be able to see what goes on and all the really cool equipment we have on campus. These are some really well-established labs that we've used, for years and stuff. So we've got a wide range of equipment, and it's a lot of fun. Engineers really have free reign in these labs. And then the second link is a 360 view of each of the labs. So it's just kind of like a picture. It's not so much like talking and that sort of a thing. And then the third one is the link to our departmental scholarship. So we're giving out 2 scholarships based off of entries that UDay students make. So one of the entries is for students to make a Rube Goldberg machine. So that's a machine that will basically, you'll assign it a task. Like you'll decide, I want like a spoon to be lifted into my mouth, and I want all this machinery to do it for me. And you'll set up like a bunch of contraptions that like the end goal will be to put the spoon in your mouth. You've probably seen it on TV. And then the second is writing an essay about how engineers can respond to the current crisis. So make sure that you take a look at these links. Like I said, Grant is going to put those in the chat. And it looks like we've got a couple more questions. Do you want me to answer those right now?
I just wanted to add that the links are now in the chat, and hopefully you guys can click those links. If not, you can copy and paste them into your URL.
Yeah.
If you don't see them, ask another question, and I'll make sure that they get put up.
So now it's time for your guys' questions. Let's take a look at the time here. So we have about 12 minutes left. We're going to have our ambassadors, which are each of the students that are sitting here with us today, respond to the question, what is the most noteworthy aspect of your experience in Walla Walla U engineering? And then as they answer, we also encourage you guys to be thinking of some of your own questions and type them in the chat box. We've been told that we can actually get your guys' audio working and you can answer questions. So we'll give that a try after our ambassadors have answered each of their questions. If not, we'll just keep it going in the chat box until 6 o'clock. So ambassadors, do you want to introduce yourself? Remember, we want to know your name, your concentration, and where you're from, and then the answer to this question. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let ambassadors take the floor here.
All right, so my name is Jordan Watkins. I'm a third-year electrical engineering student. I'm from Redlands, California, and I'm here currently. Now, the most noteworthy thing about Walla Walla has been the interaction between classmates and with professors, especially. Having attended a larger public university for classes, I know that one-on-one professor interaction for questions and understanding concepts is not really possible. So I really appreciate those nights where professors are in the labs with us until 9, 10, 11 p.m. at night. And even now with the online classes, they're still on calls with us, getting our questions answered, which I really appreciate.
Hey, I am Greg Burge. I'm a senior electrical engineering major. And like I said earlier, something notable is that I was able to get into Stanford thanks to Walla Walla. And to keep it short and quick, something very noteworthy is I was able to get to know my professors so that not only were they able to give me really good recommendations, which I think was critical for me to get into Stanford, but also I did the bad student thing and I kind of didn't give them much time to respond and may have asked them for recommendations like 2 weeks before the deadline, which is not a good thing to do. But because I was able to get to know them, they were able to get to know me and had mercy on me and helped me get those in and be able to finish my application.
Hi, my name is Georgia. I live in Washington, D.C., and I'm a junior civil engineering major. The most noteworthy thing I've felt from Walla Walla is that when I was in my summer internship this past summer, I noticed that the quality of education that I received was the same or better than my coworkers that went to big public state universities that were impressive. And compared to like a small Adventist university, I felt like my quality of education was better just because of the smaller classes and the interaction I got with my teachers.
Hello, everyone. My name is Grant Hartman. I am a senior mechanical engineering student, and I'm living in College Place, Washington. For me, the low student-to-teacher ratio of about 15 is really crucial to me, and the emphasis on hands-on learning has been what made my university experience stand out from anywhere else and any other friends that I've talked to. Due to the low ratios, we have ability to learn a lot more kinesthetic skills like welding, material testing, operating CNC machines, plasma cutters, and doing machine element design labs. And you're really getting your hands on and getting dirty with these aspects. It's really helped me learn in a really kinesthetic and interactive way. And then also because of these low ratios, you can go talk to your teachers individually. And like a lot of people have said earlier, you can ask questions on a one-to-one basis and get the help you need to understand the content and be a successful engineer.
My name is Nico Belliard, and I am a senior bioengineer. And I come from Loma Linda, California. I'm down here right now enjoying the nice warm weather. And one part that has really stood out to me at Walla Walla, specifically, not super to do with the engineering department particularly, but mainly with the school, kind of addresses that first question as far as the engineering life balance, and that is the outdoors. I think Walla Walla is in a very beautiful and ideal location if you enjoy the outdoors, and that's one way to stay sane when you're working hard during the week. So yeah, I think Walla Walla is the perfect place to get a great education and be able to enjoy the outdoors.
My name is Walter Rios. I am a sophomore mechanical engineering student. I live in Dallas, Texas, and what I enjoy about our engineering department is that they do a good job of teaching you how to work with others, or how to work well with others. In my mechanics class, there were multiple times where we were put in groups and we had to really assign roles and figure out how to mesh everyone together to get what we needed to do done. I also really like the opportunity of different classes we can take. For example, I want to go into aerospace after I graduate. So there's a couple of electives that are aerospace, like combustion, mechanics of flight, which I plan to take, and they seem like fun courses. So that's another thing that I love about this school.
All right, so that's all of our ambassadors. So now we want to just tackle your guys' questions. Like I said, I encourage you to type them in the chat box. I think that we can only unmute like one participant at a time. So I think you guys, Grant, am I right that they can raise their hands right now and then we can allow them to talk?
Yeah, so if you click on the participant button, there's a little icon with 2 people, and then it should say something like 34 on it. If you click that button, it'll pop up a little square window, and then it says a raise hand icon down in the bottom right. If that doesn't show up, then you can ask a question about it, I guess.
Yeah, so you guys can raise your hands and then we'll give you like audio permission, or you can just type your answers or your questions in the chat box as well. So while we wait for people to raise their hands, there are some ones sitting in the chat box. So you want to read those out still?
Yeah.
We can just
Let's just answer these guys here. How hard is it to balance life for engineering majors? The stereotype is that engineering majors are always studying.
I can answer that. So balancing classes is pretty hard, and it definitely teaches you a lot about time management. But I've been involved in like working in multiple clubs, and I feel like the more involved you are with the engineering department, it kind of helps your classes. Like the closer you know your classmates, the easier it is, and eventually like you figure out how to balance your social life and your school life, and it's not too bad.
All right, and then the last one I think here we have time for. How hard is it to balance life for engineering majors? Oh, sorry, that was already one. Looks like somebody already answered it.
That question was about math at in engineering and at Walla Walla, and I typed out an answer for it, but it seems we might have to restart this Zoom call or end this session and continue questions in a different session because I believe UDays has to continue.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to do that.
Mhm.
We'll just answer these last couple of questions and
Okay.
we'll end this session. I'll get information for each of these students, and I'll email you guys first, and then you can email me your questions.
Mhm.
We can continue asking questions later.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just to quickly say the answer to that question, that the person, I typed it out, but a good friend of mine who's a fellow engineering ambassador, he failed calculus multiple times and he struggled with math. But even though he knew engineering it's not a pure math degree. It's not the same thing. They're completely different animals. And the parts of your brain to do well in just math, in pure math, and the parts of your brain to do well in pure engineering are different parts. And he was able to, through hard work, he was able to pass those classes, get through to the real meat of engineering, and began to really enjoy himself. You know, he didn't become a straight A student as soon as he got out of math, but of course he wanted to do engineering. He was determined to do it. And, you know, now he's graduating this year, even though calculus kind of tried stopping that. So yeah, you don't have to be an expert in mathematics to do engineering. It helps, but you don't have to do it. It is very possible. And we've got tons of resources at Walla Walla, such as tutoring, your classmates, the low teacher to student ratios are really helpful because then your professors get to know you, get better at helping you.
Yeah, that kind of relates back to that point that I made earlier, that you don't have to already be an expert engineer to do engineering. When you come here, you know, we're here to teach you. And like Greg said, there's lots of resources. The Tutoring and Learning Center, the TLC, has some great tutors that are actually engineers themselves. So you can actually go in and they'll help you, and they're super helpful. And, you know, that's how a lot of students become friends, is from helping each other with homework and stuff like that. So there's definitely support. Don't be so intimidated by the math, because it is something that, you know, you can get lots of help with, and it's not an entirely, you know, math degree. It's definitely different than a math degree. Any ambassador want to add to that at all?
So Talia, I think we need to wrap up, and it looks like this Zoom meeting is needed for the next session at 6, and we're making Aaron sweat. So let me just offer a quick closing comment. I want to thank all of our prospective students and their families for joining us today. We'd love to answer more of your questions. We'll get your email addresses and reach out to you. You're also welcome to reach out to any of us. Particularly Talia and I are happy to answer your questions as our ambassadors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us. We're so happy to have you today.
Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.